Morning television is meant to be easy, bright, and comforting. A place where laughter fills the studio. Where the biggest challenge is balancing a cup of tea while chatting about movies, families, and weekend plans. But that illusion shattered the morning. Prince Harry walked onto the set of This Morning. It began like any other segment. Cameras panned across the familiar pastel studio, lights glowing warmly on the couches, and the hum of energy that always filled the space before an A-list guest appeared. Allison Hammond beamed into the camera, her signature charisma lighting up the screen. Beside her sat Dermot O'Leary, calm, steady, flipping through his notes. Everything was perfectly routine, until it wasn't. "Good morning, everyone," Allison began with a grin that could brighten any day. "We have a very special guest joining us, someone whose story the world has followed for years. Please welcome Prince Harry." Applause rippled through the studio as Harry walked in. Dressed in a crisp, dark suit, no tie. Collar open, he looked polished. But his expression betrayed something heavier. His jaw was tight, his brow furrowed. The polite wave to the crowd felt more obligatory than sincere. Allison leaned forward, radiating warmth. "Harry, it's lovely to have you here with us today. How are you feeling this morning?" Harry gave a small, dry laugh and leaned back. "Well, Allison, I suppose I feel the same way. I always do, surrounded by people who want to ask questions they think they already know the answers to." The audience chuckled uncertainly. Allison's smile faltered for a heartbeat, but she quickly recovered. "Oh no, not at all. We're just excited to chat with you. Tell us, how's life been in California? Settling in with Meghan and the kids?" "California's fine," Harry said shortly. "At least there I'm not hounded every waking moment by the British press or," he glanced at Dermot, "by television presenters looking for their next headline." A ripple of unease passed through the room. Dermot lifted his eyebrows but kept his tone calm. "We're not looking for headlines, Harry. We're just giving our viewers a chance to hear from you directly. Surely that's something you value, considering how often you've said the press misrepresents you." Harry smirked. "Yes, well, the difference is, Dermot, I usually choose who I speak to. Today, apparently, I didn't have that luxury." The tension sharpened. Allison jumped in, voice quick and bright. "Oh, come now, Harry. We're delighted you're here. Everyone watching at home wants to hear about your projects, your life, and of course, your family. How are Archie and Lilibet doing?" Harry sighed heavily. "They're fine. Perfect, actually. But every time someone asks me about my children on live television, I wonder, are you genuinely interested? Or just fishing for a soundbite? Because if it's the latter, I'll save us all the trouble and say they're wonderful. Full stop." The audience stirred. Allison's laugh came out a little forced. "We are genuinely interested, Harry. You're a father, and many of our viewers are parents too. It's a connection point." Harry cut in sharply. "A connection point? Allison, you don't know me. You don't know my children. You don't know what it's like to live under the constant shadow of a monarchy that dictates everything about your existence. So forgive me if I don't see this as a cozy little chat." Dermot's calm demeanor began to crack. He leaned forward, tone firm. "Harry, with all due respect, you agreed to be here. When public figures come on This Morning, the idea is an open conversation. It's not about intrusion. It's about honesty with the public who followed your journey." Harry's jaw tightened. "Honesty? Don't lecture me about honesty, Dermot. I've been forced to live honestly every single day while the press twists everything I say and do. If anything, this," he gestured toward the cameras, "is just another circus performance. I'm the show pony, and you're the handlers making sure I trot out the right lines." Gasps rippled through the audience. Allison tried to step in. "Harry, we just want to understand your perspective. People admire you for speaking out, for carving your own path." Harry crossed his arms. "Or maybe it's just good for your ratings. Let's not pretend this is about understanding me." The studio lights seemed to dim as the air thickened with discomfort. Allison, still smiling through the tension, forced a laugh. "Well, let's take a quick break. And when we return, we'll continue our conversation with Prince Harry." The cameras cut to commercial. But in the silence between takes, you could feel it. Something had broken. When they returned, Allison's smile was back, though strained. "Welcome back to This Morning. We're joined by Prince Harry, talking about life, family, and his new projects." Harry leaned back, arms folded, every bit the image of defiance. Allison tried again. You've been involved with some amazing charities lately in California. Tell us a bit about that. Harry tilted his head, voice cool. Yes, though I imagine the specifics aren't of much interest to your viewers. People here prefer gossip, don't they? Allison blinked, caught off guard. Well, I think people genuinely care about the positive work you're doing. Harry gave a humorless chuckle. Curious, perhaps, but not committed. Charity doesn't make headlines. My private life does. That's why I'm here, isn't it? Dermot spoke carefully. To be fair, many people are interested in the work you do. We try to give a balance, your projects and the personal side. That's live television. Harry scoffed. Balance? No, Dermot. Balance would be focusing on substance, not tripping me up with questions about my wife and kids. I don't think asking about your family is tripping you up, Dermot said. You've often spoken about wanting to be a good father. People admire that. Harry laughed sharply. Admire or scrutinize? Every word I say is dissected, twisted, used against me. And now you're doing the same thing. Allison jumped in softly. Harry, I think Dermot means it in a positive way. People love hearing about Archie and Lily. They're thriving, Harry said flatly. Thriving despite the noise, the endless speculation, the fact that their father can't sneeze without it making headlines. Dermot straightened his papers. Let's pivot then. There's been talk about your Netflix projects, some reports suggesting disputes over money. Can you tell us more? Harry's eyes darkened. Ah, there it is. The money question, predictable. It's not meant to provoke, Dermot said evenly. These are public reports. People are curious. Harry leaned forward. People are curious because the press feeds them lies. And programs like this keep serving it up. You call it journalism. I call it voyeurism. Gasps again. Allison spoke quickly. Harry, I don't think Dermot meant it like that. Harry interrupted. Maybe people's minds are too small if they're obsessed with whether I negotiated for a fair paycheck. I'm providing for my family. Isn't that what everyone does? Some in the audience clapped nervously. Dermot managed a polite smile. Fair point. But when you criticize the monarchy while taking multi-million-dollar deals, some see that as contradictory. That was the spark. Contradictory? Harry snapped. You mean surviving? You mean building a life outside the gilded cage that crushed my mother and nearly destroyed me? Forgive me if I don't cry into my crown. Allison tried to calm the storm. Harry, no one's denying your experience. Dermot is just saying... No, Allison. Dermot is insinuating I'm a hypocrite. Newsflash, it's called adapting. Refusing to be defined by a broken system. Dermot's calm cracked. Harry, I'm not insinuating anything. But when you criticize an institution and still benefit from the privileges it gave you, people question that. Harry leaned closer, voice rising. Privileges? You think watching your mother die in a car crash because of that institution's control is privilege? You think being hunted every day is privilege? Keep your lectures, Dermot. You haven't lived my life. The studio fell silent. Allison reached out, eyes pleading. All right, let's all take a breath. But Dermot's voice was tight, his patience gone. I respect your pain, Harry. But there's a difference between sharing your story and sneering at everyone who asks about it. This isn't therapy, it's television. Harry's smirk returned. And maybe that's the problem, Dermot. Too much television. Too many people pretending to care while digging for drama. Congratulations, you've got it. Allison tried again. We'll be right back after the break. But the cameras didn't cut. Producers hesitated. Something electric was happening, and no one dared to stop it. The air was thick, the silence deafening. Dermot sat rigid, knuckles white. Harry leaned back, arms spread, looking like a man in total control of the chaos he'd created. Allison's laugh cracked slightly as she tried to reset the mood. Welcome back to This Morning, she said, her tone brittle. We're still here with Prince Harry, talking about life, family, and his new work. Dermot said nothing. His jaw flexed, his expression unreadable. Harry looked utterly unbothered. Allison tried again, voice lighter. Harry, you've spoken a lot about mental health. Do you feel your platform has helped raise awareness? Harry finally turned his head. Awareness? Sure. Though I doubt your viewers need me to remind them mental health matters. It's common sense, Allison. Maybe ask something less obvious. Gasps again. Allison's smile froze. I think what people want to know is how you've used your voice to change the conversation. Harry shrugged. I've said what I needed to say. If people haven't heard it by now, that's on them. Dermot interjected, his tone cool but firm. With respect, awareness doesn't end after one speech. People want to know what you're doing now. Harry tilted his head. Curious or nosy? Because it feels like the latter. Allison's hands trembled slightly as she lifted her glass. Dermot leaned in again, his patience thin. All right, let's address something specific. Your relationship with your brother. People wonder if reconciliation is possible. Harry's expression hardened. Speculation. That's all people want. William lives his life, I live mine. I don't owe anyone an update. Dermot nodded. But you've spoken about it publicly before. People are just following up. Harry's tone sharpened. No, Dermot. They're feeding off drama. My brother and I are different men with different paths. End of story. Allison tried again, softly. But don't you think people root for you too? Harry cut her off. People root for fairy tales, not reality. If they want that, they can watch Disney+. This is my life. Dermot glanced at Allison, then said evenly, but when you release books and documentaries about those tensions, surely you understand the follow-up questions. Harry laughed bitterly. Of course. I tell my story, and I'm accused of oversharing. Meanwhile, the palace leaks stories daily and gets away with it. Hypocrisy at its finest. Allison's smile faltered. Harry, I think Dermot just means... I know exactly what he means, Harry snapped. He's saying it's fine for the palace to control the story, but not for me to speak my truth. Dermot's calm tone returned, but now it had steel in it. Harry, when you ask the world to listen, the world will ask questions. That's not persecution, it's accountability. Harry leaned forward, voice like a knife. Accountability for whom? For me? What about for the family that silenced me? For the institution that destroyed my mother? Where's their accountability? The silence was suffocating. Allison's voice trembled. Let's move on. Dermot shook his head slightly. We can move on, Allison, but let's not pretend this isn't happening. Every time I ask, Harry, you deflect, insult, or belittle. You came here by choice. Harry smirked. Choice? Hardly. These interviews are part of the circus. And you, Dermot, are one of the ringmasters. That was the breaking point. Dermot leaned in, his tone low and cutting. I've interviewed politicians, parents who've lost children, people under immense pressure, and never once have I been treated with this level of contempt. It's not strength. Harry, it's arrogance. The audience gasped. Allison's eyes widened. Okay, let's just... Harry leaned back, his smirk razor-thin. Arrogance, Dermot? Or maybe just honesty. I don't sugarcoat for people who don't deserve it. Dermot met his stare, voice like ice. Maybe the problem isn't the monarchy or the media or your family. Maybe the problem, Harry, is you. The words hit like thunder. Allison froze. The studio went silent. Harry's smile vanished. His jaw locked, eyes burning. For a moment, no one moved. Then, without a word, Harry stood, unclipped his mic, and walked off set. The camera followed his back as he disappeared behind the curtains. Allison sat frozen, eyes wide, hands trembling on the desk. Dermot exhaled, the adrenaline still thick in his veins. The control room stayed silent for 3 long seconds before cutting to black. What was supposed to be a warm, friendly morning, interview had just become one of the most explosive moments in live television history.